Hello, everyone. We're back with another edition of Ideal Me. I am Lamar Whitby, and today we're joined by um, a singer, an educator, um, a person who's made one of the dopest playlists I've heard in a while. Um, yeah, Miss Elisia Parker.
Hi,
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. I hope you are.
I'm chilling. I'm hanging on. I'm hanging on.
Just wait.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you grew up, where you from. Um,
All right. So my name is Elisia Parker, affectionately known by Mrs. Parker. I am born and raised in Oxford, North Carolina, currently living in Oxford, North Carolina. I have traveled around the world. I have lived other places, but I have found myself back home. I am what I like to call an ex-teacher, but I guess I shouldn't say that because I'm still teaching. But I'm a certified North Carolina middle grade teacher. I taught for 4.5 years locally here in North Carolina, and now I am the CEO, business owner, whatever you want to call me, of Naturally Nourished Tutoring Service, which has been in business for 3.5 years, but fully with me not teaching, I have been full-time running and operating Naturally Nourished Tutoring Service for the last 2 years. So that is me.
Congratulations. Congratulations. You mentioned that you were from Oxford.
Yes.
Oxford has in your introduction, I should have said actress as well.
Ah! Can't add.
Being from Oxford, there's some rich, deep history. So when I say Foursquare or Blood Done Sign My Name, what do you think?
Um, well, obviously, like you stated, I was fortunate enough to be able to not only be well versed on the rich history that's here in Oxford, which originated from my dad, making sure that we're fully, we meaning me and my sister, that we were fully enriched about our history as well as the history of where we're being raised. And I'm totally in agreement with what you said. Of course, Oxford is super rich in history. Not all of it is positive, a lot of it racial, which people are aware of, and the movie is built around. Um, when I think of Blood Inside My Name, I think of the racial divide that is still very present in Oxford, North Carolina, not as much. Of course, we're happy to see growth in the years that have come, but the racial divide, which is still here, we're still a town that is late to, following. Well, we were late to following changed amendments and things of that sort. We're late in transitioning some of the positive strides that the rest of the world has made. But we are, the black side of town is across the tracks and the white is on the other side. So that is where I am born and raised. And that's what we have dealt with and are still dealing with here in Oxford, North Carolina.
You being a educator, right? Being from Oxford, being an educator, uh, what is that? What is that location that those circumstances do to the psyche of our children?
So it's very relevant still in the school systems, particularly. It's still kind of, what side of the tracks are you on? So we have been fortunate enough in some areas to have grown in the education system and the schools that we have to offer. A lot of them, the new ones that have popped up, are prep schools.
Mm-hmm.
Or private schools. And of course, the demographic there is going to be majority white. So as far as the psyche is concerned, the children are aware of this. They know, even though they might not be vastly aware of the deep history that's rooted in these schools being created, where these schools are placed, like demographic, geographically speaking, what neighborhoods are in these areas and things like that. So, it's obvious to the adults and of course to educators that these schools are being placed in strategic places so that unfortunately we can control the population of what kind of students we have where. So me personally, I taught in one of the schools that has our inner city kids, which of course, majority African-American and Hispanic students. And they're aware that their school is, this is a Black school, you hear that all the time, or, oh, that's the white school, or, oh, that's the preppy school, that's the real smart school. So, our kids are aware that there's a difference and there is a divide.
Right.
Obviously, when I was at the school that I was in, I took it upon myself to include a lot of inclusion units, which are not North Carolina. They're North Carolina standards based, but they're not required to be taught. The teacher has to make extra strides and put in the extra work at home after hours to include those kind of lessons in it, to kind of have the opportunity to explain to the children what's going on, not only in
Right.
the work where we are every day. So it does play on the psyche of the child as far as they feel like, their school is not as superior as others, or they're not getting the same lunch options as other schools are getting. The even down to sports uniforms. I mean, we could go through a vast amount of things. Another big one was field trips.
Right.
Field trip money, just the way county money is allocated and to whom it goes to. So that plays on the psyche of the children in the sense of they feel like they're not supported. And of course, I'm speaking from the ones that are lower on the totem pole, according to what their school is getting as far as support.
Right.
So, yeah.
You talked about the Black school and white school, that divide, right?
Mhm.
But you took a step outside of the traditional classroom,
I did, yes.
and you work one-on-one with our children.
Mhm.
Why is that?
That's a huge question. There's so many. Um, so I would first start by explaining that by saying that my power is in my ability to be able to see my student, regardless of who they are. In seeing them, I mean, it takes a lot of time, but I get to know my students not only as a scholar, but what is it that you want to be when you grow up? What is it that you struggle with? What scares you? Why are you not confident when you come to school? What are you dealing with outside of school that's creating, issues or barriers for you? And putting that time into, a classroom of 35 is hard to do. I did it because that's my motivation. It pushes me, it empowers me to be able to see the growth educationally in my students. But I decided to take the route that I took because I want to take that time. I believe that it is necessary to take that time in understanding fully your student in order to break through the barriers that they have to be able to educate them. And that's frowned upon sometimes in the school system. They like to it be cut and dry. You come here, this is a curriculum, this is what you teach them, they go on about their way. And while that might work for some students, it's not, even for the students that it does work for, it's not going to bring about their greatest potential. And I want to be able to teach and to maneuver in my classroom, which of course now I've created for myself, so that I can have the freedom, as well as my children, to be open and to be able to share with me and me share with them a deeper understanding of why we do the things we do, why certain things happen, and why the solution to whatever problem it is that they might be facing, what the solution is, and how that can me helping them to maneuver through that or to mature through the situation, how that can help them and can put them in a place of empowerment so that they take on their education and their learning themselves and they have fun while doing it. So that's why I chose to move out of the school system, so that there's not so many parameters on what I can and cannot do, or how I can teach.
You talk about relationship and empowerment and that sort of thing. Tell me about your dad.
Oh my goodness, my dad. My dad left me 4 years ago. So he was my
Now, when we say left, now we have to be
oh right.
because you know some people they go they go get milk or a pack of cigarettes.
You're right. No. My dad passed on into the next life. He is where I believe is in heaven. But he's no longer here with us on earth. Earthly friend. But my dad was my number one supporter. He was my absolute, I'm not gonna say was, he is my absolute best friend. My dad was and continues to be my motivation with everything that I do, but particularly with my education and the importance that I take in my stance of what being educated is. He taught me skills, and honestly, everything that I use in teaching my students was birthed from him. So, for example, and you said I can ramble, little things like spelling the word Wednesday, right? Till this day, I'm 30 years old, but when I spell the word Wednesday, I say in my head Wednesday, because my dad taught me that. My ability in writing, which a lot of people know me for, I love writing. It's a talent that I possess, but all of that background knowledge came from my dad. I mean, staying up at night, writing papers in middle school, my dad would literally make me write the paper in ink. If I spell anything wrong, if I missed any capitalization, any punctuation, he would literally stay up with me all night long. I don't care if it's 12 midnight. I don't care if it's 1:30. He would stay up until I got that paper right. And then he'd allow me to write it in pencil. So he taught me the determination of making sure that everything that I do is to the utmost ability of what I possess. Making sure that everything that I present, whether it be to myself or others, is my best work. Teaching me that being patient and taking your time when you don't get, a subject as immediate as other people might not get is okay, as long as you get to the same answer. All those little motivational speeches mattered to me, and they all came from my dad. My dad was everything that I think that a father could be to anyone. And he is just my constant motivation to continue to push on and be the best that I can be.
What's his name?
Warren Parker. He's right here. You want to see a picture?
Yeah, why not? That's what's up.
That's inside today, but yes, Warren Parker.
So the father figure in the home.
Yes.
That means a lot too.
Yes. To everyone, honestly. Obviously, in the climate, the world that we're in today, there are more students that are products of single family homes than, multifamily homes. And I mean, it's an array of things: discipline, self-motivation, the support system. All of that comes into play when we're talking about students. So a lot of times when kids come into, and of course for our younger, African American men in particular, they're not used to seeing a male figure. And of course I'm speaking of the ones that are, coming from single parent homes.
Right.
they're not accustomed to having those male figures in their home, seeing what true support looks like, dedication, seeing that someone is a constant figure in their life that's there every day.
Right.
It also honestly too, I have seen and experienced where, and of course this does happen, like I mentioned, with majority of our African American males, they're not quick to take to authority. Reason being, they're not having to take to authority in their homes, and or moms are, and of course you can have the mom that does all the tough love and all that, but moms are normally the nurturing ones. They're there to rub our backs, they're there to wipe our tears. So when a parent, a mom, is disciplining their child, you're understanding as a child, you're understanding what your parent is trying to get you to do or the behavior that they're trying to fix, but you're still not getting that hardcore, tough love. This is what it is, this is what you're going to do, and this is how you should do it, but I still love you and I'm going to be here every day. So that transitions into the school system because you have majority female teachers, and we're talking about African American or Hispanic American young boys who they're looking at this woman like, okay, you're my teacher, but you're a lady, I'm a man, you don't understand me, you're supposed to nourish me and help me and pat my back. So they're not so receptive to the female teacher or the male teacher that's in the classroom that is given that tough love. And so that's where that father figure not being in play transitions into the school system as well. So it creates a little rift in the transition from home to school and listening to the higher authority. But I've had success in that simply to go back because of my relationship building with my students. So any of them will tell you, I have 8th graders, my first 8th grade class now, they are seniors, and they will tell you to this day, and these are, boys that are football players. Some of them, unfortunately, have gotten into the street, whatever life path they've chosen at this moment. I see them around town, and it's always, hey, Miss Parker, they'll hug Miss Parker. Football games, they'll come sit with me. It's never any kind of shying away from me because they truly were able to understand that through my tough love, through my barking or my yelling, they still were able to see that, wow, Miss Parker still cares. She's hollering at me, but she cares,
Right.
She's barking down my throat, but she cares. So I think I'm saying all that to say, I think that if we had more students who had father figures or fathers in their home, it would make it easier with them taking on the relationship building with, the traditional teacher in the classroom. And like, that's why a lot of teachers struggle because that power play is there and they're not used to listening or dealing with authority in the sense of, you're not my mom,
Right.
So yeah.
You talked about the Black boys as well as Hispanic. Now you have genetically, you you are affiliated with both, right? You're connected to both. What does that mean to you being a educator, to be Hispanic, to have Hispanic and African American DNA?
Oh, honestly, in my most humble answer, it makes me feel like I'm a prized possession. Simply because my Hispanic American students hardly ever have anyone that they can relate to in their school system, period. The percentages of Hispanic or Hispanic American teachers is below 3%. So it makes me, like I said, I feel like it makes me a prized possession in the sense of I can further relate to my students than most other teachers can. And because I can relate to my students in an everyday walk, whether it's what'd you eat for dinner last night? Oh, you had enchiladas? I did too. What kind did you have? Or, oh, when your mom makes empanadas for New Year's Eve, make sure you bring me one. Just those small conversations that I'm able to have with them. If I was 100% Black, or if I was a Caucasian teacher and I'm saying that to that student, they still might be receptive. Oh, my teacher, she's taking interest in my culture. Or, oh, she knows 5 or 6, words from my language, my cultural language.
Right.
They look at it like that, but to actually see me standing before them, oh, Miss Parker's first name is Elisia, Hispanic name, or she knows the type of food I like, or, oh, we're playing a game and she can throw out a Hispanic rapper's name, because I'm aware of that. Just everyday life is part of my culture. So it makes me, it puts me on a higher pedestal as far as the relationship building that I can have with my students, and the receptiveness that they have towards me.
That's beautiful. You're very proud of that.
I am, absolutely.
Good.
Yes.
Now, you have you talk about your students, right? The things that they go through, the way that they see themselves in and outside of the classroom. But looking at yourself, right? Looking at where you come from, the things you experienced, where you want to be. What is the ideal you? What does when you say ideal me, what does that look like for you? Whether that be mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever. Who is the ideal Elisia?
The ideal Elisia, I can touch on all of those. Mentally, the ideal Elisia is someone that, and of course, in my answer, I'm going to be exposing myself a little bit, but mentally, I think I'm a pretty stable person when it comes to controlling my emotions, but there's times, and I know everybody gets weary and everybody gets weak, but mentally, I would like to be more cognizant of the power that I possess in my students' eyes, so that I can not doubt myself as much, mentally speaking. Now, as well, in the same genre, I feel like my decision to have left the school system has definitely put me in a better mental space. Like I said, I'm pretty good. My dad is ex-military, so I was raised that way too, Marine. So, mentally, I'm pretty good. I don't get, I'm not gonna say I don't get weak, but I'm a good judge of where I am and what I'm feeling. So mentally, I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm glad that I've made the choice to leave the school system so I can be in a better mental space. Because
you can make a bed like no other,
huh?
You can make a bed like no other.
Right, yes. So that's right. I can show you the tuck sheets now, but yeah, mentally, I would just like to be more cognizant of the power that I do possess, because sometimes I think that I forget it, and my parents, my student, my significant other, my family members, they have to, well, not have to, but they're in a space where they're pumping me up more so than I would feel like I need them to. Spiritually, God is the head of my life. He's going to continue to be the head of my life. Everything that I do, everything that I am, everything that I have, it's coming from him. He gets all the praise, all the glory for everything. Nothing is me. It is all him. Physically, I need to lose some weight, but physically, I want to be in the best shape that I can be, which I am active every day, but only because that's going to give my life longevity. And the longer that I'm here, the more work that I can do for others. I truly feel like everybody, but I can only speak for myself. My reason and my why and my life purpose is to be a servant to others. Everybody serves in different ways, but my service consists of educating, making it fun, loving on people, and letting them know that I see them. That's my gift, and that's what I do. Financially, I think I'm in a good space to be a 31-year-old that is not married. My dad is gone, so I don't have as much. Of course, my mom is here when I need her, but I try not to rely on her as much because I have a younger sister. But financially, I think I'm in a good space. I'm proud of myself for being a young, multicultural entrepreneur. I've been doing it. I'm going to continue doing it. Of course, I strive and I long for more, but right now I'm self-sustaining myself, so I'm happy with that. So yeah, overall, I think, I'm in a good headspace, physically, mentally, spiritually, and everything else.
There you go. There you go. Well, Miss Parker,
Yes.
where do we find you?
Where do you find me? Well, you can find me on Facebook under Elisia Parker. I'm also listed on Facebook, Naturally Nourished Tutoring Service. Instagram, my private Instagram is at Elisia KP, and my tutoring service is at Naturally Nourished Tutoring LLC on Instagram as well. So Facebook and Instagram.
Good, good. Well, folks, Ideal Me with Miss Elisia Parker. I'm Lamar Whitby, and we'll see you when we see you.
See you when we see you. Thanks.